So you want to delve into the saltwater world or the saltwater side of the hobby, but you're not too sure what corals you can keep or whether you can actually keep one alive. Well, we're going to look into a coral that you can't really kill it. So I think if you're going to start off with a saltwater tank, let's look into this coral, which is the Kenya tree. So here we have my Fluval Evo, which is about 15 gallons or 13 to 15 gallons. It's gone a bit mental with a certain coral that we're going to talk about today, which is the neon green Kenya tree. This coral here, I mean, it is considered a coral, but it's a soft coral, so it's not exactly one of your more technical corals to keep, and I think it really would make a great beginner. It would make a great coral for a beginner, someone who wants to keep something alive in their saltwater tank other than fish that will not only thrive but spread to the point where it's sort of busting out your tank. And that's where I'm getting to now in my Fluval Evo. To be fair, I quite like the look of it. I quite like the fact that it's turned into a bit of a jungle, and the fact it's called a Kenya tree even more so. It is perfect as a jungle in that sense anyway. I'm not sure if you can get the colour or see the colour very well. It's a very bright neon green sort of colour. It looks a lot better with the eye, by eye, but you can see roughly what I mean when I say neon green Kenya tree. So as you can see, it's quite an interesting coral, and the fact that it sways around with the flow, a bit like a leather coral, but a lot more colour. With the leather corals, you've just got plain colours like brown and cream and very bland colours normally with leathers. But I'm not sure if you can get the colour where the blue light's hitting it there. But it is a vivid neon green colour. And as you can see why it gets the name Kenya tree, because it literally is like a branching tree. And the polyps are wide open, a bit like xenia. They don't open and close like pulsing xenia, but they do sway around with the flow. But yeah, it's gone a bit mental in this tank. Easy to keep. Keep salinity around 35 parts per million. And you should be fine. Makes a great refuge for the clownfish and any invertebrates you might have. I've got a cleaner shrimp called Whiskers, and he's always hidden away in the Kenya tree jungle. But yeah, as you can see, it's gonna spread. That's the point I'm trying to make. If you want a coral that's going to fill up your tank in fairly little time, I'd say once your tank's established and it's just balanced itself really well, you're going to find that the Kenya tree is going to take off. It will look like it's not really growing or spreading, but what it does, it splits apart, and you'll find that part of a Kenya tree splits apart and it will float away in the tank, and it will just grab onto something like a surface, whether that's the glass or the substrate, or if you've got like a filter system on the back of your tank like this one, it tends to grab onto that and latch itself, a bit like an anemone. I can't really say that word very well. Anemone that latches itself to a solid surface and can move around. These don't really move around once they've latched on. They stay put, but they can split and divide and move again. But if you look at those ones there on top, kind of hard to see, but right near the xenia, they're gonna get stung a little bit by the xenia, but at the same time, those ones there, they're about to split. They're about to split and spread. The xenia is touching the other polyps of the Kenya tree, and they're not flinching at all. But you'll see the one there that's looking like it's going to split. That starts to balloon, and then eventually it will just detach itself from that trunk, essentially. And it will float around in the tank until it finds somewhere to latch onto. But as you can see in my tank, it's just gone absolutely ballistic. I know a lot of people recommend pulsing xenia as a bit of a weed coral in your saltwater aquarium, but I honestly think Kenya tree is right up there with it, maybe even more so, because that xenia there, it's not a pulsing xenia, it's just a standard xenia. And even that is getting dominated by the Kenya tree, essentially. It's just getting swallowed up whole. It won't be able to spread any more, that xenia, because the Kenya tree's decided it's going to spread instead. Just a quick one today. I just wanted to talk about the Kenya tree, basically, how it's a stunning looking coral, like by eye. I mean, you can get the colours a little bit here on the camera, but with your eyes with the blue light on, it really is a vivid neon green. More so at night, obviously, but with the blue light on, you really can get the idea of just how colourful this coral is. And it's soft coral, you don't need any fancy lighting for it. I mean, I've just got the standard Fluval Evo light on my tank here. I haven't added any additional lighting. And it seems to be thriving. Not only thriving, but spreading like wildfire. So I'll leave you with that. I mean, like I say, no, it doesn't need any strong lighting, just needs standard salinity that you would normally keep saltwater fish in. So I've just got some clowns and a cleaner shrimp and some turbo snails, and there are a few hermit crabs in there as well, but just a standard small saltwater setup, and the Kenya tree is thriving. And what you'll find is you barely have to do any water changes, because the Kenya tree seems to suck up any excess nitrates and phosphates. I mean, there will be a little bit floating around, there will be some underlying levels, but it does seem to absorb a lot of the excess waste in the tank. I hardly do any water changes, very rarely. I don't have a schedule for doing water changes on this tank anyway. I'll just, every now and then I'll look in and be like, you know, it looks a little bit depleted, it looks like it could do with a little bit of a spruce up or a good clean, and I'll give it a water change. But I use the Red Sea Coral Pro salt, but like I say, you could use any marine salt and you'd be absolutely fine. It seems to thrive in most conditions, and like I say, once your tank's established and balanced and it's not, you know, it's not jumping all over the place with the parameters, you'll find that it just seems to take off, and you'll wonder why, what was going on, why it wasn't growing, but then all of a sudden it will start detaching from the clump. There's another one there doing the same thing. That one's started to balloon, and that will do the same thing. That will split apart from that clump and then attach itself somewhere else. So yeah, there we go, the Kenya tree. I just wanted to talk about this one today, and as a beginner, I would definitely recommend it as your first coral to keep, other than Xenia. I mean, it really is a better looking coral in my opinion compared to Xenia, unless pulsing Xenia is what you're after with a bit of more movement. The Kenya tree, soft coral, would highly recommend it for a beginner saltwater aquarium. I'll leave it with you. So yeah, there you have it, guys. I mean, for a beginner coral, you can't really go too far wrong with the Kenya tree. I mean, if you're keeping your tank well balanced and you've got an established tank, it should start detaching from clumps and spreading around your tank, attaching itself to another surface, and you'll have a new Kenya tree pop up in no time. And it will just keep splitting and spreading and splitting and spreading until you've got an absolute mental jungle like this one behind me. For a beginner coral, you can't really go too far wrong. If you'd like this video and you want to see more species profiles, and leave us a comment below, we can discuss what we can do more videos on. I'll see you on the next one for now, and I'll catch you later. Take care.